Hello there, Mr. Sutton here, bringing you the IM3 Honors 7-7 Part 2 homework solutions on sine and cosine curves.
For number 7, we need to get the amplitude, period, and an equation for the curve. For the amplitude, we're clearly going up and down 4 from the middle, so there's our amplitude, also half the height of 8. The period, let's find a good spot that we see repeated on here. Now on the y-axis, I'm at the middle going up part of the wave. I don't get to that part of the wave until pi here, so that's a distance of pi then for the period. We need the b value next to get the equation, so that's going to be 2 pi over the period of pi, which gives us a b value of 2. Now we have to figure out which curve equation we're writing. Since we're starting at the middle going up on the y-axis, that's positive sine, so a sine of bx. We can then write y equals 4 sine of 2x. To write the equation of the curve and get the amplitude and period for 8, let's start with our amplitude. So we are going up and down by 9, or you could take half the height of 18. Either way, amplitude of 9. For the period, well, the easiest thing on here to spot in terms of a part of the wave that gets repeated, top of the wave here on the y-axis, we see we don't get to the top of the wave again until all the way over here at 4 pi. So we have a period then of 4 pi. B value, which we need for the equation, is going to be 2 pi over that period. So that's going to come out to 1/2 for the b value. In terms of the trig function we're going to use, the y-axis value here, we're at the top of the wave. So that's going to be cosine we're using. So a cosine of bx is our starting point. So then we can write y equals 9 cosine of 1/2 x. For number 9, the amplitude on this, we're going up by, it looks like 6 pi and down by the same amount. So 6 pi is our amplitude. For the period, the only part of the wave that gets repeated is this middle going up spot that starts at -5 and shows up again at 15. 15 minus -5 gives us a distance of 20 for the period. The b value for the equation is going to be 2 pi over that period of 20. So that's pi over 10. And for the equation to use, we're starting at the top of the wave. If you look at the y-axis, that's the top of the wave. So that's the cosine curve. So we have a cosine of bx, which we can rewrite as y equals 6 pi cosine of pi over 10x. For this one, I'm getting the amplitude, period, and an equation for this curve. So let me start by getting my amplitude. So it's kind of hard to read it off the graph here, but it looks like we're going a quarter of the way up a grid line, and the grid lines are going by 2's. So I would guess my amplitude is going to be about 1/2. And then for the period, this is how long it takes to go from the one part of the wave to the same part. So it's usually good to look at the top or the bottom of the wave if you can help it. Like the bottom here, notice that it takes us a distance of, let's see here, this is 4 pi to go from bottom to bottom, or I guess, or trough to trough if you want to call it that. So that's 4 pi for our period before it starts repeating. Now for an equation for the curve, I'm going to need the b value, not the period. So for the b value, I do 2 pi divided by the period, which I can reduce to 1/2 in this case. So putting it all together, looking at my graph and where it's hitting the y-axis, it looks like we're hitting at the top of the wave. So this would be a cosine sort of formula that we want to use, a cosine bx. So in this case then we would have 1/2 times the cosine of 1/2 x. And that would be one formula we could use for this. To get an equation for this graph, let's start by getting the amplitude and the period. For the amplitude, it looks like our midline is the x-axis, and we're going up and down by 3. You could see that the height is 6, and half of that is 3, so amplitude is 3. Now for the period, this is how long it takes to repeat. So you have to look at the same part of the wave. Probably the easiest one on this one is, if you see here, we have middle going up, and it takes me a distance of pi over 2 before I get to middle going up again. So pi over 2 is our period. For the b value, which I'm going to need for the equation, I I need to do 2 pi divided by the period. So 2 pi divided by pi over 2. We're doing a little same change flip. So that's really multiplying 2 pi by 2 over pi. Pi's are going to cancel, and 2 times 2 is 4. So putting it all together, which function should I use here? Looking at my y-axis, I see that the y-axis is going through the middle of the wave going up. So that is the sine function that fits that best. And we're going to have then 3 times the sine of 4x. For this one, we're trying to get an equation for the curve. Let's start with the amplitude. Taking a look at this, these grid lines are going by 3s. So we're going up 3, down 3. That's 3 for the amplitude then. For the period, I have to see how long it takes the wave to repeat. So taking a look here, on the y-axis we are at middle going up. And it takes us until we get to 4 before we see that part of the wave again, middle going up. Middle going down, not the same thing. So it's middle going up, period of 4. To get the equation, we need the b value, which we can find by doing 2 pi divided by my period of 4. That gives me pi over 2 for the b value. Putting it all together, I am going to use a sine of bx on this one because we have, on the y-axis, we have middle going up. That's the part of the wave. So then I'm going to use 3 sine of pi over 2x for my equation.